What's up, Ward Wrestling here? Man, it's been kind of cool. It's my second show coming back. I had Gabby and Eli on earlier. Now I'm here with Dr. Enock Francois, who is in Carolina Blue now. He made the trip from one coast, from the West Coast to the East Coast. If you don't know, he's a multiple-time NAIA All American. He's a multiple-time senior national All American, U.S. national team member, and he's the current assistant coach up in Carolina, which, you know, uh, I like the color red, but blue's my favorite color. So I like to see you in that Carolina blue. And man, welcome. First of all, it was great seeing you this weekend.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, man. It was great seeing you. And as we've talked before, since we're on the podcast, I'll say it again. It's just fun coincidence, man. Didn't expect you Matt side and come by. It's like, hey, what's up, brother? We're here. What's up? So it was good.
It was crazy that I tell people it was like Christmas morning, just better, right?
Yeah.
So it was awesome. But man, so you had Tyler Ishins, right? Did I say that right?
Yeah, you said it
And
perfect.
a Greco guy, if I remember.
Yeah.
And so talk about him, man. He had a good run there. You spent a lot of
Yeah.
time with him in the Greco room, and he looked good.
No, absolutely. I mean, that kid, so he took his COVID year to finish up his last year with us here at UNC. So he made the trip from Stanford to UNC, came out with Cole and myself, and he did some really great things this year on the mat, folk style with the guys. And I felt for him at NCAA, just suffered some heartbreakers there, and it's nature of the beast, man. This sport, rip you apart, build you up, rip you apart again. So, it was good to see him come back from that, some adversity there, and went out the last chance and looked amazing. Didn't give up a single point out there to get himself into trials, and he looked good. He looked good at trials. Just sometimes it comes down to criteria, and you lose a close one and not get an opportunity to make a national team, but. He's on the right trajectory, and that was good for him to get out there and get his feet wet and build towards his next cycle. He's going to stay out with us and keep training and keep growing and create more opportunities for himself to realize and manifest his dream. So we're excited to help him do that, and we're going to have some fun doing it.
It's awesome. Yeah, I think I was talking to maybe Zach Cook, who I told you coming on from North Central, and we were sitting there and I was asking him, I'm like, man, it's crazy. These are the best our country has to offer. And some of them are the best the world has to offer, right? In this room. And you hear like the round one, I'll hear like so-and-so versus so-and-so. He's a 5-time Fargo All American, 3-time national champ, 2-time. But this guy's a blah blah blah. 5-time national, and those guys went 1-2. One went
Everybody's
0-2.
Yeah, everybody's
Like,
somebody, and it's
like it was insane. So just to be in that building, you're part of the 1% and that this sport has to offer, and it was super cool to see him, and then to see a lot of the people you kind of not grew up kind of grew up watching, right, that are still out there and growing in the sport. But just to really quick, so Enock, he's down at the Villages here with us in Florida. He's doing great over there in that program. He gets an opportunity. As you all know, Stanford during COVID had their hiccup, and then they came back and they brought the program back. Enock was blessed with a hire over there with the current head coach that came in from Cornell, and he went out there. Last few years was killing it, doing well. His coach gets the job in North Carolina, which is his alma mater, and his wife's alma mater, correct?
Yep.
And they just I don't know if they had a clause in their contract or something that said the only team I'll leave for is Carolina, and obviously Enock, you were doing a great job for him because he brought you with him.
Mm-hmm.
Man, what was that whole transition like?
It was hectic, to say the least. Well, so we start with that the whole situation, the transition, the timelines of it wasn't ideal in terms of, when a coach departures, I think well at the start of the academic year, where season's getting in a full gear, and that's when everything happened. And in that same frame of mind, right? I'm an associate head coach at Stanford under him, and so we're thinking, and him and I spoke about it. It's like, hey, well, if this then that type of scenario, like, hey, I want you to, go and give it the look at attempting to get that head coaching position at Stanford. If you're gonna go through the interviewing process, go through it, have fun with it, and kind of see what happens. And worst case scenario, well, and you have worst case scenarios. It's like, well, worst case scenario, you're coming to UNC with me, and so
experience the process, right? Because I
exactly.
think the world knows one day you're going to get your look, but yeah, see what the process is like, right?
Yeah, see what that process was like, and that's always fun going through it. I mean, I've been through endless numbers of interviews, whether it was for K-12 administrative positions or coaching. So all of that, that's always fun to me. It's always a good learning experience. So it went the way it did at Stanford. Obviously, I didn't get the nod over there. But even with Chris Ayers there, he came in and we had some very good, very heartfelt conversations, and he wanted me to stay. He talked to me about that and presented that opportunity as well. But at the end of the day, with me having that relationship with Colin and our previous discussions, if this then that, and at the same token, you're moving back to the East Coast to be closer to home, being closer to family, and it's such an easy trip to get to Florida, whether I'm flying down or driving down. So it just made a lot more sense.
And listen, both programs got two unbelievable humans with
Yeah,
Cole and Ayers. I mean, you couldn't. Both programs, just both of those guys, as you know, are
yeah.
unbelievable men.
Great.
I was rooting for you, Enock. I know Ayers, and I love him, and I'm happy he got that job. But you're my boy.
I hear it, man. I hear it.
But
It's all good, man. All part of you think about divine intervention as believers, and I would
yeah,
say it all happens for a greater purpose. And it's been amazing here, man. The stuff we're doing, the rate we're building. And heck, I get up in the morning on the way to work, and I'm able to call my parents and have conversations. So it's all blessings, and you just gotta
yeah.
realize those things.
Look how good that beautiful dark skin looks in that blue right there, man. It looking good.
Come on, man. Come on, let's go. I
Hey,
love it.
so
I love it.
you guys got a hell of a program there. You guys got a lot of good recruits in. You guys are doing a hell of a job. Just got out of the trials. You've got Worlds coming up, right? How many guys do you have going out there?
We have six UNC athletes going. We have four of our signed athletes going, who are coming in next year. We have I think about five of our 24 commits going, and then a couple other kids we're recruiting as well. So in total, we'll be coaching about 12 kids, actively coaching, and probably actively evaluating and looking at another 8. So so it's a busy
Man,
weekend. We got about 20 kids to stay on top of, so it's fun.
1,000 plus. I'm sure there'll be some recruiting done out there with the younger
Yeah.
kids. And speaking of recruiting, obviously you guys have a great campus, the history of North Carolina, um, not just wrestling, just the place in general. And I just had Elijah Lowe on, and you could probably attest to this. I see you at Fargo, everywhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he was getting looks from D2 and D3, and I've told kids before, because of the education process that I've gone through, because there's no secret I didn't wrestle, and all you coaches, the 500 I interviewed during COVID, would tell me a lot of times, look, only one of us is going to get that elite athlete, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're a lot of times just forget it. We're not even going to fight that battle, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we see a kid that is getting to the late rounds and fighting his tail off against a lot of those top echelon kids. And he's a character kid. He's got grades. A lot of times you guys tend to to want to see that kid, right, come into your program that you can build and grow. Is that facts?
Yeah, that's factual. I mean, I suppose a lot of coaches look for and evaluate for different things in athletes and how they see them. From a recruiting standpoint, how I like to look at kids and evaluate is understand, especially this day and age, these kids they're coming in more ready, younger and ready to go. And so what I look at, is okay, like what are you doing during the match, right? What positions are you losing in? Are those positions where you make very small adjustments and you win the positions? And if it's a lot of that type of stuff happening, that's keeping you from winning close matches or blowing out close matches in the open and being a lot more successful. I tend to really like those kids and we'll recruit them right away, even though they don't get the results, because as a coach, you can already see the trajectory and progression if you're actually looking at watching that kid wrestle. So it's like, so a lot of those we recruit that way and we get commits early because we see those progressions. And then, the next year the kid would come in because they started making those small adjustments, and then they blow up and, oh my God, he came out of nowhere. And we laugh. I laugh. No, he didn't come out of nowhere. He's been that good. He just needed to make 3 adjustments. Like, it was that simple, and you should have seen it coming. But, so it's just, it doesn't take time yet, but you just have to look at it with the right perspective and lens.
Well, and yeah, because there's a lot of kids out there that I even talk to based on my experience, and they feel like they can't wrestle at the next level, or they can't get a look at the next level. And I tell them, because I think you've told me this before, and other coaches, like, look, we don't see everybody in the country. We can
Mm-hmm.
only travel to certain places. So if you're a kid in somewhere USA that maybe you can't afford to go to these big tournaments, maybe you only go to one big tournament a year, maybe you can't get to where all the coaches are at, send them an email, write them,
Yeah.
send them some
Yeah.
video.
And
Um,
there's never been an email or anything that's been sent to me from a potential student athlete, or no matter what level they're at, that I didn't respond to and try to help them, help guide them. So, I think it's really big to connect and respond to people.
yeah, so yeah, because we want to see these kids go off and do that.
Yeah, yeah. And at the end of the day, it's not about just UNC or anything like that. It's just, as an educator, it's like you're in the helping profession, man. You're there to help people. So when people reach out, you help them, and then that's what it's about.
So this is a big thing. So you're at a D1 school. So I couldn't wait to talk to a D1 coach because I want to ask how it's affected the D1 landscape. Obviously, the maybe the D2 might deal with it a little bit. The D3 is probably not at all. But this
Mm-hmm.
new NAL platform, right, where it's tough. You see football coaches retiring because they can't kind of do their recruiting thing anymore. How has this landscape changed how you recruit, how you're able to keep a kid, kids leaving, kids coming? I mean, how has it affected that whole process?
Well, with anything, right? It's change. It's change. So you can either complain about it, quit, and not evolve, or just find ways to be creative and evolve. One thing I try to relate this with is when COVID happened in education, and we went to remote learning. Like, you had to just navigate and figure out a whole way of committing to the way you approach instruction, right? It's like, just be creative. Like, let's get right. So, and it was fun for me. Those things are fun for me. So this landscape, like, it's fun. I think it's fun, right? Because it's something new and it changed, and you just have to get creative and grow. So anything that forces growth, to me, in any working environment, is fun, because it's new, and it's a new challenge, and we have fun with it. So we get to be creative and figure a lot of cool things out. And the NCAA in itself, for as much as I like to feel that they're behind in their response rate with the NIL and that changing of the landscape, but they are making progress and making new adjustments to more or less contain it a little bit. and try to figure out where I think it's a full-blown wildfire and it's completely out of control. So I don't know how well and how fast I'll be able to, circumnavigate certain rules to help contain it. But for what it is right now and the evolution of it, I think it's forcing a lot of growth and creativity in a lot of different areas of fundraising and how we approach certain things, and it's cool. I enjoy it.
Well, yeah, because and we've got a few minutes here, but I what I and correct me if I'm wrong. It's obviously a I mean, there's only a small percentage of kids coming out of college that are the elite that people are going to negotiate contracts with. The other ones that come in, they're like, okay, I'm going to get to college. Well, then you guys develop these wrestlers, and all of a
Mhm.
sudden they get seen on the national level. And is that when NIL becomes an issue? Because now
No,
coaches have the ability to be able to say, "Oh, I'm going to go try to throw kind of fish over at North Carolina or wherever it
well,
is, and see if I can
yeah,
I can
it's
lure
an
that
issue
guy out."
coming in too. Yeah, it's an issue coming. I mean, whether you're in college and proving yourself, and then the next year you want money, or kids coming in, it's an issue, like from high school kids, because what happens is now, a lot of these kids, if they feel like they're really good and they need to prove themselves, so like you saw this weekend, I mean, you guys wrestling at Olympic trials, like any kid that's qualified to wrestle at Olympic trials that's still in high school, well, you don't think that kid expects some sort of NIL coming
Oh,
in of a full scholarship. So it's big. Like I said, it's a wildfire, man, and it's growing. So a lot of programs, right? What you have to get to is, you have to pretty much within your own program set certain boundaries with NIL and standards of, all right, here's our limit and here's what we're willing to do, right? We're setting ourselves apart that way and say, all right, if somebody does XYZ, we're just going to let that go and not even try to mess around with it or compete with it because
yeah,
that's not the direction we want to go completely. So there's certain guidelines and boundaries and stuff we play with that because we're only going to stretch so much with our resources and what we're not just willing but able to do.
makes sense.
So yeah, and so but at the end of the day, you still get the right kids. We go back to when you're making transactional relationships or transformational relationships, and with that said, as we get more transformational and you're building great quality relationships, the finances and things of that nature tend to work themselves out, and you still get the kids and parents who want to be around you and that program because
That's
it's driven
cool.
by something a little more.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, a Carolina degree it means a lot in the business world too. It's a reputable school. It's a
Well,
place that
and
people know.
well, and to speak on that, that's what's helped us a lot. We've been, especially Rob, having been at Cornell, and I've been at Army West Point and Stanford. So then coming here, you have very similar pedigrees of academic levels of academic achievement that's needed to even be able to not get in but excel at a school like UNC. We compete within the top 50 schools worldwide. So it's not to say anybody can't just up and get into UNC without the right levels of academic achievement, and even with our athletic support, when we support kids, admissions works really really well with us here at UNC than a lot of those other higher achieving academic institutions. But even with that, we have certain thresholds that they need to meet to get in here. And I think those things are all good. It's a lot of front work on the recruiting end, but they're all good because you recruit the right kids and you're not babysitting kids on the back end. I'm not, you're a great, you're a high level academic kid and athletic kid. I'm not babysitting you, man. You know what you came here to do.
Yeah, I hear that a lot. We have enough to do to worry about our kid on the mat. We don't want to worry about him in the classroom too. Do
Yeah.
you miss the competition?
Yeah, I do, man. It's one of those things. I think I almost jumped in the last chance qualifiers, man. This is one of those things. Well, because I get in with our guys and I scrap with them, and I don't know if I've missed a practice since I've been out here with those guys and training multiple times a day with them. And so sometimes it's like, man, I might just jump in there and go do it. But then, you wake up the next day like, oh, dang, my shoulder and my knee. Right. So it's just one of those things. But who knows, Ward, man? I might surprise you. I might surprise you.
What about that dude, 44 years old, makes it all the way to the finals?
That's my dude kicking him, man. He's a dog. He's a dog. He scraps, and it's always fun catching up with him and watching him. He's got a couple of kids out there in Poway, California. We recruit a lot in California, and he's got some studs, man. He's got some little dudes, and those dudes can scrap too. So those apples don't fall far from that tree.
And listen, he had Sean Sheldon in his corner, man. That guy's no bum. That guy
I love Sean, man. Hey, I rub on Sean.
He knows a thing or two. Yeah, he knows a thing or two about Greco.
I shine his head for good luck every time I see him.
That's awesome, man.
I grew up with Sean, dude. I grew up with Sean. It's crazy, you see him. He looked like he's an ageless wonder. I mean, I'm like, dude, I feel like Sean, you look the same way when I was 12 at club wrestling practice, dude. Like he hasn't changed a bit.
But this is a guy like somebody walks up to this little dude at the bar and kind of pushes him in the back and like, get out of my way. And next thing I know, they're up over his shoulder and being tossed over a pool table. You're like, oh, whoops, I just poked the wrong bear.
Yeah, Sean will still jack you up.
That's awesome, man. Hey, man, I got to tell you, you've supported me from day one, man, and I always appreciate it. And every time we see each other, we catch up. We always are messaging each other. I'm always following you and your achievements, and you're always doing the same for me. So, man, I really appreciate it. I love, man, if I can ever get up there for a duel and take photos and do some stuff and hang out with you, man, just holler at me. That'd be great. I'd love to do it.
Well, you should have messaged me, man. We would have had you a whole press pass and everything for ACC. We hosted this year. You'd have enjoyed it. We're having a good time.
Oh, let me know, man. I'd love to do ACCs and NCAA. I may NCAA would be a dream come true, right?
Well, once our schedule drops, I'll be able to share it with you, and you can check out our ACC home meets and the stuff you can make it out to. Just let me know.
For sure, I'll do it. Well, thanks, man. I appreciate you coming on, and I'm bringing this back. So, if you have any guys, any recruits coming in that you want to have them on the show, or I don't know what the NCAA laws are with that, but if you have any athletes that are still training, if Ishins wants to come on and talk about his Olympic trial experience, man, that I'd love it. If Senor Cole, I still have that funny video. Remember that slow motion I took when you guys came with the Stanford crew, and I didn't even realize that he jumped up in the background like a ballerina. He comes back and he's like, wait a second, watch that video again. And we watch it again, and he's as a matter of fact, I think it wasn't that who was the kid that was doing those jumps? Wasn't he at NCAA's this year? He had a really good year.
Yeah. I think you're referring to Jaden.
Yeah.
Either Jaden Abbas. I think it was either Jaden Abbas or Real Woods.
Yeah, Real. I saw him. He was sitting with the Blades family when Kennedy was wrestling in the finals.
Yeah, that's all his connection, man. This dude, New Mexico, Arizona. So those are all his family.
I gotta say, before we leave, now you brought him up. That kid, what he went through, and to still have a smile on his face always when you see him. What a character kid. I mean, you've been close to him, but I've only met him a couple times. But everyone knows the stories, right? So
yeah, but
what a character kid.
Yeah, he's a different breed, man, in terms of his ability to like redirect and bring himself back. Like it's wild, man. It's wild. Like most guys, you run into them they'll after a tough loss or whatever. But him, it's like win, lose, he's really learned to just redirect himself and come back to the same place. And from an external standpoint, so internally you couldn't necessarily see even the demons or whatever he's fighting, because externally, man, he just internalizes and compartmentalizes so well and deals with it, man. So he's a different breed.
Good for him. And it was nice to catch up to him. But yeah, man, Enock, again, it's kind of cool. I was right next to you while you were coaching the Olympic trials. It's the biggest weekend that happens every 4 years, right? Other than the Olympics.
Not the last, man. We'll be seeing plenty more of each other on those stages, and I'll let you know if I decide to jump into one of them just for fun. I'll let you know. I might do it.
Yeah,
I
I'll have
might
to
do it
come.
I might do it just for fun one.
Yeah, you just want people to see you with your shirt off.
Man, I almost spit out my coffee. Don't do that to me.
All right, man. Peace, man. I appreciate you. I'm gonna hit
All right,
stop.
brother.